The WWE currently has so much talent from top to bottom. Who within that talent is actually the brightest stars of the company? Who will run the main event scene within the company for the next 5 to 10 years? Who will run the mid-card division for the next 5 to 10 years? Both the men's division and the women's division. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts on who I believe should be filling these buckets for the next 5 to 10 years. Before we get into this video, if you haven't already, hit that follow and subscribe button to make sure that you stay up to date with all my future releases on this channel of I Within the Game. There we talk about topics regarding pro wrestling and everything happening within it. With that being said, let's get into this video. So starting off, we're going to talk about who I believe is going to be running the main event scene for the women's division. Now, within the women's division, there's so much young talent that has the ability to rise and the ability to shine. Very gifted within their in-ring work. There's also young talent that's very good within their promo work and character work. There's only a select few that I believe are actually going to be impactful within the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to be basing this conversation off of who hasn't really been able to skyrocket within the last 3 to 4 or 5 years previous. We're not going to talk about certain superstars like Rhea Ripley. We're not going to touch on superstars like Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Asuka. We're not going to talk about those superstars because I believe, in my opinion, those superstars are already solidified, have had Hall of Fame careers, and going to continue to build on their Hall of Fame legacy that they're creating right now. We already know what they bring to the table. They've been in the spotlight. There's no need to keep hearkening on what it is that they can do and what their ceiling is, because we already know they're going to be in the company for the next 5 years. Probably not 10 years, next 5 years to 8 years. We already know they're going to continue to have their opportunities. In this video, I want to talk about who deserves those opportunities that is young, up and coming. The number one person to fill the main event scene for the women is no other than Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton has been on a great run since she's been on the main roster for WWE. She's done a lot of important things. She's had a lot of important feuds. I love how when she first came to the main roster, they put her under the learning tree with Nia Jax being one of her veterans, allowing her to be in a tag team with Nia Jax and help Nia Jax as she's carrying the weight of the company, having her WWE Women's Championship reign over on SmackDown. I really love how they just sheltered her in, allow her to see what it's like to be under the learning tree of a champion, a veteran, someone who's been doing it for a while, traveling, entertaining the fans, going through character development on each level and things like that. I do feel like there's obviously better mentors that Tiffany could have been under to learn even more. I think Tiffany learned just enough and just what she was supposed to learn under Nia Jax during the time when she was traveling with her, working with her and things like that. I believe this did a lot for her career in such a positive way to where, fast forward, you created a good storyline between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, a betrayal storyline where the young up-and-coming superstar gets tired of being bossed around and told what to do by the old veteran. Tiffany Stratton, she turns on Nia Jax. She becomes a babyface. She becomes the champion that the people want to see have a run with the title, also overcome the influence of this veteran. She gets the title. Tiffany Stratton begins her run with the title. Now, as far as her first run with the Women's WWE Championship, I do feel it's been a little bit mid. I do feel like she has some high spots. She has some low spots within there. I think it's all a part of the process. I think when you've been watching wrestling for a while, you come to realize that when this is a young superstar's first time carrying the company, there's going to be kinks within their first run with a championship, of getting to know who they are. I think that's one of the biggest parts of their first title run, is getting to know who they are as a champion, as someone who carries the weight of responsibility of the company and the locker room on their shoulder. This is their first introduction into becoming a leader within the sport, within the locker room, also a leader for their division as a woman or as a man. I think this is important for them to just learn from veterans and take things one match at a time, one show at a time, catch their stride. I believe that at some point, Tiffany caught her stride. It became a thing where I felt where Tiffany needed some work is Tiffany needs work on her character development. For me personally, as a fan watching the product, I have a hard time connecting with Tiffany's motives and Tiffany's character. What is your character about? What do you stand for? What wakes you up in the morning? Why do you want to win championships? What does legacy mean to you? Why do you think you're better than your competition? Just things like that. What makes you stand apart other than your blonde hair or your makeup or your ring gear, things like that? Like, what makes you really stand apart from the rest of the women in the division? Help us get to know a little bit more about who you are through your character is what I'm looking for personally when I'm watching the product. Because on the other hand of me trying to figure out what her character is about, I see a lot of potential there though. I see great in-ring work. I see someone who's young and someone who looks like they've been wrestling for years. I see someone able to take hits and get back up. I see someone able to cut a promo. I see someone who can hang with older talent and outshine younger talent. This is exactly why I've put Tiffany Stratton in this conversation when we talk about what young talent can really lead other young talent within the future of the company for the next 5 to 10 years. Tiffany Stratton has so much potential. She has a way of being able to grab your attention even despite you not knowing much about her. I think she has that type of aura about her that it's like when she comes on the screen, she looks important. She feels important, right? Now we just need to know what makes you important. If you can figure out that character side of things, just keep developing your character, building a relationship with us as the viewers, I believe we're going to get even more behind you than what we already are. I believe right now we're behind you because we see it. We see it on you. We see that you have the ability to put on great matches. Also, you have the ability to hang on the microphone. Now we need to know, do you have the ability to truly hold our attention for long periods of time, like a Roman Reigns has been able to do by holding the belt for over 1,000+ days? We're not expecting that of you. I'm just saying, can your character and the stories that can be written for your character, are you compelling enough to hold an audience's attention for 4 years straight like a Roman Reigns without people truly getting tired or bored of it until that long period of time where they're just ready to see a new champion? Are you able to really get us invested in you like that? I'm going to leave it there for Tiffany Stratton. The biggest takeaway here is that Tiffany needs character work. And if she continues to develop her character, she's going to be one that's going to be able to win a lot of championships in her run with the company. She's going to be able to achieve a lot of great things within the women's division. Secondly, within that main event picture is going to be Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer is one of those characters that I feel her character's aura is there. I feel a little bit as if I know what her reasoning is, right? I think her reasoning is about culture wanting to be one of the best Hispanic wrestlers, wanting to be the best at what she does. She has this underdog feel to her of overcoming the odds just to get to where she is. There's beauty in what her character represents as far as her makeup that she does. I heard about the story of Asian culture, how you can break a flower pot, they put it together and they fill the cracks of where the flower pot has been broken with gold to add more value to it. I see it, I feel it, I get it, I relate to it, I love it. Now, where I think Stephanie has to grow is in her English, her communication, because promos are a big part of getting us to get to know you even more. Stephanie has no problem wrestling in the ring. Stephanie has no problem being able to have authenticity as far as her character goes of standing out, and when she comes out, she's another one. We're magnified to the TV. Our eyes are glued. Your character feels important from a presentation standpoint. You got the wrestling, you got the presentation. Now, as far as your character goes, why should I continue to tap in with your character? Why should you be the champion that's running this company or holding up the company? You know, why? Why are you in the position you're in today? You know, why? I would love to learn the why for both of these characters, Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie. I believe they fall into the same token of young talent who has a lot of potential, a lot. Help us to get to know these characters much better. I'm going to leave it at that. As far as the women's mid-card division moving forward for the next 5 to 10 years, there's two major players that I personally feel out of all the young talent right now that's available that are going to leave a big mark and have legendary careers if WWE books them right in the mid-card. They're going to have world championship runs as well. I can see this for these two. They really should dominate the mid-card scene. I think they're just special talents that fit well within that mid-card, don't really need the main championship, feel like underdogs, also has potential of a main event caliber superstar, also have that aura. These two superstars that I'm talking about here is Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyria. These two can go in the ring. These two can go on the microphone. These two have attention on them when they come out. All eyes are glued to the TV. These two can work anybody, I feel, within that division. When you talk about Lyra and you talk about Roxanne, you're talking about two characters who, in a way, I feel like I understand what Roxanne's plot is. I feel like Roxanne's plot, based off of what I've come to know about Roxanne, Roxanne is a winner. Roxanne loves to win. She feels her best when she's winning. I love that about her. I love when characters take winning serious. And as a person, I don't agree with taking the short route and being a heel in real life. I'm saying from a character standpoint, a kayfabe standpoint, I love when someone loves to win so bad that they'll do anything to win. I love that Roxanne has that ability to play it solo or play it in a team until it's her time, to pick you off at the right time. I love that about Roxanne. I love that Lyra has that same ability in a way when it pertains to her storyline that we've been seeing with Bayley. I feel like there was a time where she was under the tutelage of Bayley. She still is current day. I feel like there was that point in time, obviously, where she kind of snapped on Bayley and was like, I ain't with this because now you messing up my winning. Now you messing up my blessings. You getting in the way of me eating. I'm going to have to do something about that. You need to get away from me. You know what I'm saying? So I can keep being on my path of being a winner. I love that both of them are winners. I think when you talk about mid-card division, mid-card champions need to be people who love to work, people who love professional wrestling, not being in the spotlight. They don't need a spotlight to be the spotlight. That's mid-card wrestling. You feel what I'm saying? The best champions in the mid-card division over the years have been superstars who don't need a bunch of people watching them for them to show up to work and give it their 100% all. You feel what I'm saying? They rarely have off nights, seriously. When you think about older superstars like Chris Jericho, he barely had an off night. He was one of the greatest intercontinental champions of all time. Gunther, one of the greatest intercontinental champions of all time. He don't need the World Heavyweight Championship in order to be a top star. You feel what I'm saying? And the list goes on. Dolph Ziggler, I just wanted to bring him up because he just popped in my mind. Dolph Ziggler's another one. He's going to steal the show every damn night. He does not need the World Heavyweight Championship or everybody's eyes to be on the screen at the end of the show, at the main event, in order to prove that he can hang with the best or prove that he deserves to be on the show. You feel what I'm saying? You can put him at the beginning of the show or the end of the show, and he's going to do the same thing. I feel like Roxanne and Lyra have this ability to do the same thing as these superstars, these Hall of Fame superstars that I just named. With that being said, that's who I believe for the next 5 to 10 years will be running the main event scene for the women's division and the mid-card scene for the women's division. Now, drifting over into the men's side of things, who do I believe are the top two men in the men's division that are going to be running the company for the next 5 to 10 years? I think one of the men on this list is very obvious. That's Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker, since NXT, has been being breaded as a top superstar within this company. He's shown glimpses and flashes of being a top guy on the microphone, being a top guy as far as presentation goes, being a top guy as far as in-ring work goes. Bron Breakker has done a lot of great in-ring work when it pertains to his run in NXT. He wrestled a lot of guys and showed that he can hang with a lot of different styles in NXT. He also showed that when superstars like Seth Rollins came down to NXT and wrestled him for the World Heavyweight Championship early on in his career, that he can hang with the big dogs. He can go. I think when you look at things like that, plus his current run on the main roster as, you know, Intercontinental Champion, it was short-lived. It wasn't really a long reign where we got to see him as champion for a long time. However, he put on really good matches with those opponents that he did wrestle. That led him into the WWE. Obviously, they planted a seed a long time ago of Paul Heyman managing him, which correlated into Seth Rollins. Paul Heyman, who had a hand in his character development in NXT coming up to the main roster, they had a hand in that. It translated into him becoming a vital piece to the division and helping Seth Rollins within his title reign. Now, obviously, due to Seth Rollins getting injured early, the storyline was cut off prematurely. We would have seen what I talked about earlier with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. We would have seen an older veteran superstar that's mentoring a younger star end up in this position where, because they're trying to control them and have power over this young talent, use them to keep their belt and their status at the top. Obviously, one day, Bron Breakker was going to turn and he was going to humble his mentor. He was going to take the reins because learning from the best, you become the best. Obviously, they had to turn the page. They had to get Bron Breakker to turn on Seth Rollins early. Within that, I felt just for a couple weeks, it got a little bit stale. We wasn't really seeing much progression as far as the whole turn, how impactful it was for Braun and Bronson and the vision to be turning on Seth Rollins, to be breeding Bron Breakker as an even bigger star than what he is now. However, they've been doing a lot of good things. I think the men's War Game match was very impactful for Braun to showcase himself again against top guys, to be in the midst, and to be the one to pick up the pinfall victory on a veteran like CM Punk. That does a lot for your credibility. It really does. Bron Breakker He's proven more and more over and over again that he's ready for the reigns. He's ready for the moment. Why I'm very confident about his reign as a top guy is because he has other top guys that have been in the industry in his ear. He has a Paul Heyman managing him. Not a lot of superstars have that type of advantage of being able to be very intimately connected to a Hall of Famer and a Hall of Fame manager at that, the greatest manager of all time, being in your ear and guiding you and directing you to become a bigger star. Literally has the blueprint to creating big stars like Roman Reigns, like Brock Lesnar. The list goes on. That's one of the reasons why I truly believe in his push as a main event star for the next 5 to 10 years, is because right now he has a good system behind him. We know with any success in life, if you're going to be successful, you need a good system. Without a good system, you're just mediocre. You're just barely getting by. You never really reach the top. You need a system. Bron Breakker has the system. He's one of the guys. The second guy on that list is going to be Obafemi. Obafemi is your next big star. Now, what he recently just did with Cody Rhodes at Saturday night's main event was really good. Did I think the match ended prematurely? I did. I think they could have dragged it out a little bit more. However, I understand that they had to cut it off when they had to cut it off. I did think Oba had really good spots in that match against Cody Rhodes. He had the opportunity to show that he's a force to be reckoned with. He's not a pushover. He can go on the microphone. We've been seeing that not only in NXT, we've seen that on Friday Night SmackDown when Oba cut a promo against Cody Rhodes. He didn't slip on any of his lines. The lines that came out of his mouth seemed very real and authentic, not only to his character, but who I believe that he is for real, for real. I think he really views himself in this way of being a king, of being a ruler, of being someone of high value. I believe Oba because I believe Oba believes Oba. You feel what I'm saying? That just directly translates into his character and who he presents himself as on screen to us as the audience. Obafemi, he's done beautiful work in NXT. I can go on and on about the matches that Oba's had and how many of them have been bangers, how he's able to sell, how he's able to really dominate in the ring. He's not just a big dude, but he's a big dude who can go. He's a big dude who can really showcase his power in the right ways. I love his finisher being a power bomb. For a big guy, you need a credible finisher. The power bomb, we already know guys like Batista used the power bomb. Guys like Kevin Nash used the power bomb, and so forth and so on. It's like that power bomb being attached to you as a dominant force means a lot, and it sells. That means he can pull that move off with pretty much anybody of any size, for real, because he's big, he's strong. Especially for the little guys, it's an opportunity for them to really sell that move, really take it. I believe that Obafemi, with his character work, with his promo work, with his in-ring ability, and with his presentation, Oba is undoubtedly going to be one of your top stars in the main event scene moving forward in the future. I think it really boils down to, with Bron Breakker and Obafemi, taking care of their characters, having a system behind Oba, just like you have a system behind Bron Breakker. I don't know what you're going to do with Oba. I would say start him off in the mid-card. Of course, he's probably going to have a program with Drew or Cody when he first comes up to the main roster because they planted that seed. I would love to see Oba dominate the mid-card starting off in the U.S. title scene. How I felt they should have did with Jade Cargill instead of pushing her to the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship scene. I think that's a whole nother topic and conversation. I say let Obafemi dominate the U.S. title scene, like how when they brought Bobby Lashley back and put the U.S. title on him and let him dominate in that scene. Let Obafemi dominate in the mid-card scene so that the dudes at the top, they know what's coming for them. And it's just a matter of time, like how they did with Gunther with that Intercontinental Championship. It's just a matter of time. I could come for you now. I'm just holding off and I'm just getting my reps in because I'm on to you. You know what I'm saying? That's the two guys that I'm going to say are going to be very impactful and very monumental for the WWE success in the main event scene moving forward for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, when it pertains to the men's mid-card scene, the two guys that I'm going to say are going to be very important for the men's mid-card is Ilya Dragunov and Dominic Mysterio. Now, hear me out. I know a lot of people are going to say there's other superstars who are young who the mid-card will probably be better off in their hands. There's other guys that I have in mind as well. However, I think if you play the cards right with Ilya, you got something there. I'm just keeping it a stack. I'm never going to market, advertise, promote, push, co-sign anybody who I truly don't believe in. I don't see their full value or potential. Ilya Dragunov already has a great body of work. Ilya Dragunov is in his early 30s. Ilya Dragunov has reinvented himself. Ilya Dragunov can go with the best. Ilya Dragunov has a great character. Ilya Dragunov, if put in the right position, will prosper. I'm telling you. All you have to do is find ways to keep his character interesting. Build other characters around Ilya. I promise you, you can put on some banger matches, sell out some tickets, and be straight. Now, does Ilya have that star power of pull of a top guy? I don't think he does. This is why I say you can replace him on this list for somebody else, because we know under TKO, they love their money. They love making money. You're going to need people who can draw money in this era of wrestling. It's not just about being a great wrestler. It's also about being able to draw money. I personally don't think Ilya has a lot of personality as far as social media goes and the way he presents his character on screen either. He's just not one of them characters you're truly bought into as far as buying his merchandise up and things like that. He has to grow in that way. I'm not sure if he even cares to grow in that way, because I don't think that is what Ilya's legacy is about as a man. I don't think he cares about that. I think he's truly a hardcore wrestling guy that just truly cares about giving people a good show every time they step foot in the building. When they see him wrestle, he's the truth. That guy is one of those ones. That's the vibe I get off of Ilya. I also feel like if he just has a system behind him, the company just pushes him, they do more of the marketing for him instead of expecting him to do so much of the marketing, because it just doesn't come natural to him. They'll be good to bet their money on him, because there's going to be a good return of investment when it pertains to Ilya Dragunov. With the second guy, Dominic Mysterio, on the other hand, Dominic Mysterio, we already know, has had great matches. He's part of a faction. He has a system behind him. He ain't carrying the weight on his own. He comes from a Hall of Fame father in Rey Mysterio. There's no wrong, really, that Dom can do other than him messing up the opportunities he has for himself. It's as simple as that. If Dom shows up to work and Dom keeps being Dom and taking the blueprint of what Eddie left behind, also just staying true to himself and what legacy he wants to create for himself, there's no wrong that Dominic Mysterio can do. Dominic Mysterio is your biggest draw in the company in the mid-card division for the next 5 to 10 years. I know there's a lot of people talking about Dom can one day be world champion. That's cool. I can see that too. Dom is not one of them dudes that you really need to be putting in that main event scene like that. The reason why is because it's going to be crowded. And on top of that, Dom is a dude, he really, with the pace he's going at, Dom is a dude, he don't need the belt. He's about to become one of them characters where you put him against everybody to sell a WrestleMania match. He don't need the belt to have an important spot at WrestleMania. Just his name value is going to carry a lot of weight in the future. You feel what I'm saying? He's one of them characters that I feel you develop like that, where it's like a Bray Wyatt who their character is so strong that he don't need the belt for him to have an important role on the TV show week to week or the pay-per-view cards and selling tickets. He does not need the championship. I think you built Dom to be one of those guys who doesn't need the championship, who can work and be flexible between the mid-card and the main event scene. Mainly mid-card. Keep him in the mid-card and keep him having dominant reigns as Intercontinental Champion. I don't really see him as a United States champion. That's not really the lane I would go down with Dom. Maybe give him a reign, but I don't really see that for him. I see him dominating the mid-card and being one of the top Intercontinental champions of all time. I see him dominating tag team scene. I also see him having a couple world title reigns, and having those underdog stories, But other than that, those are the two in the mid-card division for the men that I feel they're peak. They're peak. And you play your cards right with both of them, you're going to get a good return of investment. So with that being said, this has been my list of superstars, both men's division and women's division, that I believe are the brightest young stars in the company that will be leading the WWE into the future for the next 5 to 10 years. Share with me down below your thoughts on who you think is the brightest young stars that's going to carry the company and who deserves these opportunities. But until next time, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for all of your support. Also, thank you everyone on my YouTube channel for getting me past 100 subscribers. We have hit a great milestone. I'm very proud and I'm very thankful to you guys for supporting the channel over there on YouTube and showing love and support and commenting and much more. I appreciate you guys. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. And as always, keep creating.